And this is a way which helps you formulate your goal and make sure your goal is in the best possible format. And I'm also going to share with you very briefly some questions that you can consider around the goal as well. Because when we set a goal or set a resolution, sometimes it may be a resolution or a goal that's not worth setting. And that's worth knowing up front, right? So let's take a wee look at the goal creator process. The goal creator. I need some sort of, some sort of booming sound effect. The goal creator. Anyway, goal creator. So, it's 7 points to think about when creating a goal. Now, just before we get into the goal creator, just very important thing to think about. A goal is different from a state. Now, what do I mean by a state? I mean, a state is an emotional state. I'm happy is a state. Whereas a goal is something that you can work towards achieving. A state, an emotional state, you can be that emotional state at any point you want. See, a goal is something which takes a series of steps, a sequence of steps to achieve. And it's also quantifiable, it's measurable. A 5% pay rise, 4 pounds lighter, a dress size smaller, a holiday in Hawaii, whatever your goal is. It's something that's measurable, it's tangible, you can say, right, I've achieved it. Whereas if your goal is just to be happier, well, first of all, you can be happy like that. And that's perhaps something, if it's of interest to you, perhaps that's something we'll explore in a subsequent show. Or you can be confident like that. You can have a state. We'll take a look at that in a future show if that's something you're interested in. If it is, let me know. If it's not, let me know as well. I want to make this as interesting and useful as possible for you. But yeah, so happiness is a state. You can instantly be happy. It's an emotion. Plus, how do you measure it? How do you quantify it? So when we're talking about goals, we're not talking about emotions, emotional states, those sorts of things. We're talking about something that takes a sequence of steps and it's quantifiable, it's measurable. You can demonstrate that you have achieved this goal. Hopefully, that's making a bit of sense, yeah? Woohoo! Alrighty. So let's take a look at the goal creator. It's 7 key requirements for a goal. And the first one, you may want to take some notes on this, or you may not, because later on in the show, I'll let you know how you can get hold of the Goal Creator worksheet, which takes you through all these steps and the other questions that go along with it. So either take some notes now, or sit back, relax, let this stuff percolate through, and then go to theconfidencealchemist.com. I'll tell you now, go to theconfidencealchemist.com/gift, and in there find Nail Your Resolutions. Sign up for that, and you can get the Goal Creator worksheet, which will help you to nail your resolutions. So the key goal requirements which the Goal Creator provides. First one is C, clear and concise. Second one is R, realistic. Third one, E, ecological. Ensure safety. Ensure safety. Fourth one, achieved. Fifth one is timed. The sixth one is orientation. And the seventh one, which is a nice little bit of a mouthful, realize results and react realistically. Or you might just want to call that reward, whichever you prefer. So those are the 7. Let's go through each of those one by one and just figure out what the heck each of those are, right? So we'll have a look at these. We'll then have a look at the psychology of how some of this works, and then we'll look at some questions which you can use to help really focus your attention on the goal, and then we'll have the format for writing a goal, which brings all of this together and really helps you to make it work. So our key goal requirements, clear and concise. That's the first one. Here, you want to make sure that your goal states exactly what you want. exactly what you do want. That's the clear part. And the concise part is make it short. For example, my goal, my resolution is to have a 5% pay rise. Or my resolution is to weigh 75 kilograms. Make it clear and concise so that somebody can very, very clearly get exactly what it is that you want your goal to be. And this is very, very important. We'll see why in a short while. It's all to do with your unconscious. But make it clear and concise. Go for specify exactly what you want. A 5% pay rise, not just a pay rise. I weigh 5 kilograms. Jeez. I weigh 75 kilograms. I have a 2-door high-performance sports coupe, red Lotus Elise, for example, car. Make it specific. The second one, the R, is realistic. Make it something that is realistic. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a big goal or big goals, big resolutions. In fact, I would encourage you, make sure some of them are big. Make them huge. Make them so big that in order to achieve them, you yourself change and become a bigger, greater, better person purely through the process of achieving that massive goal. Nothing wrong with making them really big, and make them realistic. I'll give you some examples. For example, I do not run. If you were to look at me, you would not say there is someone in physical prime example of a superb athlete. I don't run. What's the point in running? There'll be another bus along eventually. I don't run. I'm not anywhere near the peak of physical fitness. So if I set 11th of January, I decided I am going to run the London Marathon in April of this year, and I'm going to complete it in under 3 hours. Is that realistic? Well, almost certainly not. Now, you could argue it could be possible in 3 months to really train someone up to the peak of physical fitness so that they could achieve that. Very, very unlikely that anyone could achieve that. And I know that would be a totally unrealistic goal for me because I just would not go through the exercise regime that would be required to enable me to run the London Marathon at all, let alone do it in 3 hours. So make it realistic. I'll give you another one. Suppose you're 6'2" tall and you decide you want to be a national hunt jockey. It's kind of unrealistic given jockeys are all seem to be about 4 foot tall. I know, but jockeys tend to be of shorter stature, lighter build, for obvious reasons. Make it something that's realistic. Now, sometimes you'll hear in the world of personal development, if you can conceive it, you can be it. And I'm sorry to tell you, that is not always true. Just because you can think about something does not mean you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can be it. You can have whatever you imagine. No, you can't. And that's why so many people fail, because they fall for that. They think that just because I've decided, I've dreamt I want this, it means I can have it. It does not mean you can have it. Sometimes you might be able to, sometimes you may not. Make sure it's something that's realistic. Now, when I'm saying realistic, we've got to watch all the self-doubt, all the people like me never succeed. People like me can't do that sort of thing. I'll never amount to whatever. I'm not good enough. All of those sorts of things. We've got to watch out for them. We are capable of achieving a lot more than we feel we are, or we believe we are. But let's get realistic. We cannot achieve absolutely anything that we set our mind to. There are some things which we cannot achieve. That is just the reality of things. So make sure it's realistic. Great way I heard it put was, I believe it's Alexander the Great, said that if a thing is humanly possible, consider it to be within your reach. So if it's humanly possible, consider it to be within your reach. So if it's possible for someone to achieve it, then it would be possible for you to achieve it under the right conditions. Obviously, you may have to put in huge amounts of work, but it would be possible. But that doesn't mean anything is possible. It also doesn't mean that you will achieve something just because you think about it. Make it realistic. It's not putting you off, right? Cool. Of course it's not, because you're a lot more sensible. You know that realism is a very important thing with goals. And we're not using realism to artificially restrict us and stop us from going for things. Go, play big, go as big as you want. And make sure it's realistic. Make sure it is something which it would be possible to achieve. That's all I'm saying. Just make sure it's something which is humanly possible. Because if it's humanly possible, consider it to be within your grasp. If it's humanly impossible, don't make it a goal. All right. Moving on, the third one, ensure safety. This is very important with goals. Make sure it's safe for you. Make sure it's safe for others. And make sure it's safe for the planet. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, you might decide, I am going to lose 50% of my body weight this year. Chances are that is not going to be safe for you. Very unlikely to be safe. Very likely to be incredibly dangerous. Make sure the goal is safe for you. Ensure it's also safe for others. Whatever it is that you're planning, make sure it's not going to adversely impact other people. For example, make sure that the attainment of your goal does not require everybody else in the world to sacrifice things or anything like that. Make sure it's safe for others as well. It's not going to cause harm to others. Basically, harm none. Don't harm anyone. And make sure it's safe for the planet, the ecology. Overall, make sure it's safe. So make sure it's safe for you. Ensure it's safe for you. Ensure it's safe for others. Ensure it's safe for the planet. Make sure nobody will be harmed by the achievement of your goal. Next, we come to achieved. So when we're writing our goal down, when we're stating our goal, we need to state it as if we have already achieved it. Why is that? Well, again, we'll take a look at that in a moment. When we take a look at how the unconscious mind is going to help you with all this. But just make sure you write it down as if you have already achieved it. This kind of helps cut out the next weeking ourselves, the next monthing ourselves. After that, we have T, which is for timed. And with this one, specify, specify as tightly as you can exactly when the goal happened. At least specify a date if at all possible. Ideally a date and a time if you can. But get as specific as you can with a date. For example, 1st of August 2018, I'm stepping on the scales and I see that I have succeeded in reaching my ideal target weight of whatever your weight was. 9 o'clock on the 1st of August. That really helps to anchor in exactly when that's going to happen. It's kind of like creating a deadline to help make sure that it happens. Because if you just say, yeah, at some point, I'm going to have lost 10 kilograms. Well, you will eventually at some point. But if you want it to happen, say this year I want to lose 10 kilograms. Yeah, but by when? Let's set a deadline. Let's set a target. So make it timed. Make sure as well the orientation, which is the sixth goal requirement, the orientation. What do we mean by orientation? Well, remember, it's towards what we want rather than away from what we don't want. And focus on what we do want. Don't focus on what we don't want. Don't think of a green elephant. So make sure your goal is towards what you do want. So if you're saying to yourself, for example, I don't want to be fat. My goal this year is, or my resolution this year is, I don't want to be fat. Okay. Well, if you don't want to be fat,